to the goofball army out there. Hi at the families. Tell them to get to the next room. Tell them to go to your neighbors because we got goofball news to go over, and it might get crazy.
Typically does, guys. If it's your first episode ever, you got like 30 seconds before we start, so not enough time to go to the bathroom, but go get a drink because trust me, you're probably going to need it there. In the meantime, the rest, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. That way you know about future episodes as well, guys. Buckle your seatbelts if you haven't already. Make sure your tray is in the upright position here, guys, because we are just about ready to get going. And like, oof.
Guys, if you want a crazy ride going forward, a bunch of nonsense, but all nothing but the truth about the Giants, listen in, buckle in, tell a friend.
Let's go.
And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, soon to be joined by Rob here. He's having a little technical difficulties here, but we're getting everything rolling for you guys in the meantime there, because we're running behind schedule. I know, big shocker there, but it only being so late, so we want to at least get everything rolling here for you guys, and Rob will pop on when he gets all his equipment working here with everything here. So we got a couple of things to go over here with you guys today. So we got final questions after the embarrassing, horrendous loss there to the Commanders in week 1 yesterday, especially, rubbing salt in the wound with Daniel Jones looking like the second coming of Peyton Manning there all of a sudden. And of course, as always, whenever we have a week of football, we give you guys a rundown of all the games, what happened, all the scores and everything there. So we're here with you guys getting a rolling here. So let's get right into first the Giants questions here. All righty. So very first question we got to go over with you guys after this game. And this is a big one. And we said this was going to happen if the Giants got off to a rough start here. And here's where we're at now. People already discussing Russ or Dart. And that's the big question going on right now, because let's be honest, Russell Wilson looked horrendous in that game. Now, we also had no time to throw the ball, and be very clear on that, but it looked absolutely horrendous, especially under pressure. You would have expected a guy who is a veteran, as long as he's been in this league, would have played better with some, guys in his face. And listen, I get it. It's not an easy task whatsoever. This is why we brought Russell Wilson in. We brought him in because we figured here's a guy who's been a veteran, in this league and shouldn't be rattled under this kind of pressure. Guys, he was rattled. Not only that, he looks slow. Looks slow as anything. I mean, listen, I won't pretend to be the guy who watches every single Pittsburgh Steelers game there is. We watched, obviously, some games last year with them. But yeah, I'm just really disappointed in that outcome there. Now, after the game, Brian Daboll was asked point blank about, what's going to happen next week, and didn't quite go far enough for people, and people started speculating, because he didn't flat out say Russ is a starter week 2. Well, today he has gone ahead and said Russell Wilson is a starter. But like I said, the noise is already there. The fans are already asking the question point blank. Is it time to move on already from Russell Wilson? Now, there's a couple of components to this whole entire thing. First off, do we think yesterday what happened against the Commanders was a one-off? Or do we think that that's the Russell Wilson we would get every single week? And that's probably where your decision is going to lie in this to a certain degree. Is, do you think it's a one-off, or do you think it's going to be this is what Russell Wilson is at this point in his career? Now, I would tell you this, probably somewhere in the middle. Like most situations, you put both sides together, somewhere in that middle is usually the truth. So Russell Wilson's probably not as bad as he was yesterday, but he also probably isn't as good as we hoped he'd be. And neither situation is a good situation, because you either keep him in and look bad for a couple weeks and we lose the season potentially, or you put Jaxson Dart in, who looked great in preseason. But again, against vanilla defenses, half the time against backups, because he did a mixture of backups and starters he played with, and then now you're potentially throwing a rookie quarterback behind this line, which was absolutely atrocious yesterday. And is that asking too much of a rookie? And let me be very frank, there's not a right or wrong answer to this question right now, guys. That's how bad this game was. This is not that. And I see in the comments there, Deb, about Jameis Winston. I got to tell you point blank, I was already planning on going where you're already going. If we want to move on from Russell Wilson right now, to me, Jameis Winston is the guy to move on right now. Because I don't want to throw Dart there yet. I got to get Andrew Thomas back. I got to get this offense somewhat clicking a little bit before we hand over the reins to this kid and put him in such a bad scenario. Does anybody actually think Jaxson Dart would have won us this game and gone for any kind of points yesterday with the lack of time that offensive line was giving? That's what I just don't see right now. I don't want to ruin this kid. Like I have said it before and I will say it again. I get it. The point of every single game, the point of every single season is to win games. 100% that's the truth. But this year, the biggest thing is to develop Jaxson Dart. Let's be honest, even if everything went right for the Giants, we're not winning a Super Bowl this year. It's just not going to be that way. And we knew that going into the season way before this game ever happened. The whole point of this season is to develop Jaxson Dart. Now, the question comes into be is, do you think we develop him by throwing him out there? Or do you think we develop him by sitting, waiting till he's more ready and throwing him out there when the offense maybe we're ready for him? And again, there's both trains of thought there. But I can also sit there and tell you guys, even though I'm on the sit until he's ready side, Jaxson Dart would have played better yesterday than Russell Wilson. Point blank, because of the fact he actually has some mobility to him. Jaxson Dart was moving around there. And he had bricks in his goddamn cleats. Absolute insanity. And I just, like I said, I'm extremely disappointed in the way he played. And it's not me trying to knock him. It's just me trying to say that it's time for him probably to hang up the cleats there if that kind of play continues. And great career for Russell Wilson. I think most people that played in this league, let alone you or I, who never played in this league, most people who played in this league would kill to have a career like he had. Win a Super Bowl, should have won a second one. Go to the Pro Bowls, all these things that he had. But it's probably time if this is what we're going to get. And I think the one more game is what I'm willing to give him. And if it's not better, it's probably time to move on. And I don't need great performance from him next week. Let me be very clear on that. That's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is score a couple touchdowns. Don't embarrass us. Get some semblance of an offense moving. Don't have the offense so bad that our star receiver is literally sitting there on the sidelines with a towel over his head. That's what I need. And if that's the scenario, and that's what we get again next week, then I actually do think we should move on to Jameis Winston for a couple games. And then week 5 is when I would throw Jaxson Dart into the fire. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's what we got to look at. I think it's a scenario where you put him in against the Saints, which is probably the weakest game in our whole entire schedule. I know they played the Cardinals somewhat decent last week, so yesterday wasn't as bad. But you're looking at a team point blank that is the easiest one on the schedule, the easiest one on the schedule for us. That's when to start him. Let him go ahead and get a little bit of positivity, a little bit of momentum going. Because after that, guys, Woo. After that, I don't have the schedule up in front of me. If I remember correctly, Eagles, Broncos, Eagles is the way the next 3 games go after that. So it's not exactly a great stretch, but there is no great stretch to put him in. Be very clear, there is no good stretch to put this kid in. And listen, I wish there was an easy answer for you guys in this scenario. I really do. Because anytime you go ahead and put in Jaxson Dart, there's a risk. Put him in too early, you kill his confidence. Put him in too late, you go, we could have had this the whole entire goddamn time. There is no right answer. But I'll tell you this. This continues with this offense. Just one more week. One more week. And I'll tell you what is the right answer is moving on from Russell Wilson. That's how bad the performance was. I expected a guy who wouldn't buckle under duress. And he did. And, you know, a lot of times, listen, he had people in his face really quick. I get it. He knew what he was getting himself into. And he has to be able to move around a little bit to get around some of that pressure. And I saw some of the same things I saw last year with Daniel Jones point blank with him. And I saw him literally moving into guys and getting hit. His pocket awareness wasn't where I expected to be at that point for where he's at. Now, again, that can't go all on him. That's got to go on the offensive line as well. But let's be honest, we're not changing that out. There's no lineman waiting in the wings that's going to go ahead and fix this problem, guys. We got to admit that. There is no offensive lineman waiting. There's a quarterback waiting. There's technically 2 quarterbacks waiting. So you can change that out. You know, maybe you want to put Marcus Bow in the offensive line if you think he's part of the solution. You still got 4 of the spots. You got nobody to replace him with. So we got to do something, guys. You know, and I would tell you, you know, maybe a different play caller even too, because I'll be honest, I didn't like some of the offensive plays going on there. That's for sure. I don't know where screens went. Screens just disappeared. But you've already tried the other guy who can call plays in this team. So, listen, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments here. I'm going to go through them real quick as far as the Jaxson Dart, Russell Wilson thing here. Let's see. DL starts us off with Daboll does know this is football and not baseball, right? The Cowboys must be licking their chops. Can't wait to get their first win by slaughtering the Giants again. Hopefully not. That's for damn sure. Anthony, what's up, man? And Sean as well, and Deb, appreciate you all coming in here. Sean says, what should the defense have done on 2nd and long versus what they did? Blitz, point blank. We didn't blitz enough. He said, why didn't they put Dart in for a QB sneak in the red zone? I honestly, I think the problem is they talked about having a spot where they had a package supposedly for Jaxson Dart in this game. But what do you guys think would have happened if they put Jaxson Dart in and we score a touchdown and then take him out and the offense looks like crap again? The fans would have been flipping it. There's a politics to this whole scenario. And point blank, this scenario was put on by Brian Daboll and anyone else that had a hand in the depth chart. Because if they didn't want to deal with that issue, you could have put Jameis as the backup. The second you move this kid up to number 2, you've created more of a quarterback issue. It's the way it is. Again, it's not a matter of what's right or wrong by the kid at that point. It's a matter of the politics of it. Because now you have a backup quarterback that people would rather see right now than the guy who's currently playing the job. As Deb said, I'd rather see Winston. Like I said, I Winston one more game and I would put him in there. Jay says, wasn't I the person saying Russ was going to be a disaster and totally pointless on every channel? People got mad. Now, to be fair, we didn't get mad at you here on this channel. Though like I said, I was more bullish on Russ than I probably should have been based on his performance. That's for damn sure. Anthony says, Russ sucks. Jay was right the whole time. Jay says, bring in crab legs and see if the inside offensive line settles. Deb says, okay, Jay Ferry's got to give you on this one. See, you getting your props, Jay. Remember, we did say point blank, I would have been fine with Jameis Winston as a starter as well when we first got him, and I still stand by that as well. He's at least been exciting, hopefully. A lot more exciting than we saw yesterday's game, that's for damn sure. Den's the Boxer says the check engine light is on. Hey, let's change the tires. If Dart plays well with this O-line, I'll eat my words. And again, you're not wrong. And that's the thing. No one is wrong in this scenario. And I hate to kind of ride the fence in this topic. I really do, because it's a serious topic with this team right now. And all y'all that are in it on a regular basis know that I'm not usually the ride the fence guy, but I don't know if it's me just being so frustrated that I'm at a loss here. But I don't think that either one is a right or wrong answer. And it's hard to sit there and say that because, again, you don't know what's going to happen. And you can't change out the offensive line. You can change out the quarterback. Anthony says, once AT is back, they should put Dart in. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if Andrew Thomas isn't in, I don't want to put Dart anywhere near that offensive line right now. I really don't. But my concern is that is Andrew Thomas even going to be ready to go at any point this season at this point? That's the frustration level I'm at. And if he is, then does he go back in just re-hurt himself? Because that's what he's done the last couple of years. Jay says, it was just the perfect mix. A team with the bad QB that wants to hype a new QB and a QB that can hype himself and have the media eating out of the palm of his hand. It's a perfect storm. Well, yeah. I mean, he's definitely good at the media stuff, that's for sure. He says, AC, what if Thomas comes back and gets hurt again, then Dart's in a mess? Yeah. And Deb says, why is everybody ignoring Winston? Yeah, like I said, I think Winston's definitely the forgotten guy in this whole thing. And like I said, it's going to be a scenario, I think, where if Russ is bad next week against Dallas, I think Winston should get the nod. I really do. Even over Dart, which I know is going to tick some people off, that's for sure. And that's part of the problem is you're going to have politics of that. Is the team going to be upset at that point? Are the fans going to be upset? Are the players going to be upset if you start Winston over Dart? That's part of what you have to think about there, because you can already make the case that Daboll is on thin ice with some of the players based on how Malik Neighbors and him interacted during this game. That's for sure. Jay says, I don't think Shane Ball is here much longer. I hope not. Y'all know I call for him at the end of the season. Point blank. I'm not a fan of Daboll. He's never succeeded anywhere without Josh Allen as an OC or as a head coach now. I think we've been saying forever, I think he's overrated as an offensive guru. And I said you kind of have to give him a shot with a quarterback. Well, he's got his quarterback now. So I'm willing to give him until he puts Dart in and see what Dart does. But he's on such a thin rope with me. Again, it's not even funny. Anthony says, Jay, you run that chance no matter, but at least let him start with Thomas being back. Den's the Boxer says, if Russ doesn't put up points in the next first half, then maybe the decision has to be made. Yeah, that's crazy that we're already in that point after one game. But like I said, it's not crazy. Jay says Thomas might have last a game or might not be in football shape. Yeah, we'll have to find out that. He says, I don't think the line. I didn't think the line would be this bad. I thought it would be adequate. And again, we talked about this when Andrew Thomas last year was in there. It was an average line. Without him, it was bad. And guess what? We're without him. So it's what it is. Anthony says, Drew, I don't know if he would have won, but I think he's more mobile and would have extended plays better. Definitely. Deb says, this regime seems unable to develop anybody. 100%. That's the biggest nail in the head right there. The biggest issue with this team by far. We cannot seem to develop anybody. The only people that actually succeed here are guys that succeed when they hit the ground running. Neighbors hit the ground running. Carter last week hit the ground running. Dexter Lawrence is the one guy you could say developed. I guess that's the one guy. But Andrew Thomas was already developing when they got here. It's just, I don't know. It just definitely seems to be a problem there. Let's see. We got Rob here. It looks like is on with us. There he is. And we lost him that quickly. He's scared. Deb says, how long is the list we're developing? Yeah, it's a long list. It's a long, long list. Den's the Boxers, honestly, next game should decide everything. And yep, where it's at. Jay says they are all developing and we keep them until the bitter end. Yes, I'm still shocked we ever moved on from Daniel Jones. I think that was kind of a forced move at that point. Denzel Boxer said if we had Russ from 2014, we'd be good. I don't even know then. That's the scary part with this offensive line. I don't even know then. Jay says, don't other teams have impact players their first year? We never seem to. They need to develop. Then 4 years later, the narrative is they suck. Yeah, and this is why it's an issue with the coaching. Anthony says, Jay, they definitely hold on to trash players too long. Denzel Boxer, we need better linebackers. Okereke isn't doing it. I think he quietly actually had a good game. Jay says, Rob was thin and handsome last time Russ was good. It was like 11 years ago. Speaking of which, just in time there's Rob. As Jay's talking.
Here I
am. Deb says, I would not even leave Wilson in all game if it looks like it did this week. If it's a close game, I would agree with you 100%. If the offense is not doing its thing and the defense is keeping it close, then yes. But here's the problem you run into is we're talking about Winston as a potential guy to go in next as quarterback. You can't put Winston in if he's not listed as the backup, or at least you keep all three quarterbacks on the active roster next week. So now the problem is, are you going to throw Dart out there in that kind of scenario?
Yeah, and we've talked about babying him pretty much all year.
Yeah.
Well,
and
all so.
I don't want to say it's this early of a must-win game. Like, that's so cliche. Oh, it's week 2. It's a must-win. But, guys, if the Giants lose against the Cowboys, you got the Chiefs and the Chargers next. We're staring down the barrel of 0-4 like you wouldn't believe. We need to win one of these games. And we already lost the first one.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I wouldn't say it's a must-win, but let's be real. Like, we all, from the get-go, before everything started, and like Russell Wilson looked like, let's say what it is. Like, he kind of looked like poop. Like a big old, like Jurassic Park style, big old poop. We all thought we were going to lose this game if he looked good anyway this past week. But the boys losing Parsons, like, this is something like where we should turn it around.
Yeah.
So it's more of a must win based off that.
Anthony sticks up for Rob. Denzel Boxer, Russ is going to get a concussion if this keeps up. He might fake a concussion just to get out of the damn game without being pulled like that. Honestly, I hate to ever say that never happens in the NFL, but people will fake injuries to avoid embarrassment of being pulled. And it wouldn't shock me at all if that happens at some point here. Michael Lowe says Neighbors needs to stop throwing tantrums and pouting on the bench as if he didn't drop a touchdown yesterday. Listen, there's a lot of blame that can go around for yesterday. Neighbors, I think, to me, is one of the guys that you don't necessarily put on that list. If you want to blame people, you can blame also the offensive, personnel and the coaching staff there for forcing the ball to him nonstop instead of throwing around, not giving a single, but giving, I should say, a single, but they did get one throw. So not didn't get a single, but one throw towards Darius Slayton, the man you just paid this offseason. All he forced it to was Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors. And I'm not going to blame Wan'Dale on that because Wan'Dale actually didn't do bad with what he did, but you got to throw the ball around. Stop forcing it to Neighbors nonstop. If Neighbors is as good as we all think he is, he will get his yards. He will get his time. You cannot succeed by forcing the ball to one guy.
100%. I mean, they did target Slayton, but Slayton there was one time he wasn't open. There was another time there was a face mask, and it was just a complete pass. But yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna move on to the next topic here, guys, because I gotta say, you guys are going crazy on the comments here, and I love it. I support it, but like I said, we're gonna have to move on to the next topic here, or else we're gonna be here for an hour reading just these comments there. Let's see. We gotta ask, who's to blame for the mess? And I think it all kind of boils together with everything going on here. But I'm gonna point blank say it. The mess is Daboll.
Listen, that's an incredible picture that you had up on the live chat there. It's fantastic because he kind of looks like Tim James meme.
Yeah. But the big issue for me is Daboll has been play calling Kafka has been play calling. Both of them have not succeeded whatsoever. We're not developing people on offense. We have a guy who is supposedly a coach guru, an offensive guru, and it's not going well. In the end, the blame has to be on the coach. We called for him at the end of the year last year. Point blank said fire him. They held on to him all offseason. We kept on hearing people that are supposedly people that know football and go, "Oh, he's a guru. He's an offensive guy. He just hasn't had his own quarterback." I've already, like I said, I was fed up last year. I was done, ready to move on last year. And any chance I wanted to give him just went out the window week one. And I know that's probably way too early sometimes to say out the window. But it's out the window because we have a brand new goddamn quarterback. And we have a guy that, quite frankly, probably won't be here next year now, being his mentor. That's an issue.
Which and also, I was on the high horse. Like, listen, you got to wait till the bye week. I don't want to see Dart, that kind of thing, like this season. But you're probably going to see Dart before halfway through the season's over coming. Because, like, if it's coming to, like, we're looking like we did yesterday, you got to make a change. You want something you didn't have, you got to make a change that you didn't do before. And guess what? You never had Dart. Put him in there, and let's see what he can do from there. And that just would also, like, justify keeping Daboll around for one more year. Because, hey, listen, I only put him in halfway through the year, and you know what? He won 3 games out of the 8 he played. You can't be upset with that rookie play.
To me, it's like, again, we've said it before, so I don't want to beat the dead horse too much with him, but it's like he didn't develop a quarterback at all in Cleveland when he was offensive coordinator. He didn't develop one in Miami when he was the offensive coordinator. He didn't develop one in Kansas City when he was the offensive coordinator. Like, why are we keep on giving him this credit for Josh Allen? Can we finally say Josh Allen's just a goddamn good player and would have succeeded with anybody?
No, you can't say that because he's a gosh darn great player. Look what he did last night.
He succeeded with, I think, anybody. I think he's that kind of player. I really do. I think he just has that drive. I think he just has that will. I think he has that ability. And there are people that you see in bad scenarios that still make it happen. But there's also reverse to that. There's also coaches that get bad teams and somehow make it happen. We're talking about it before. You're trying to get this stuff ready before about, Pete Carroll. We call him Sneaky Pete all the time as a joke. Sneaky Pete, spoiler alert, when we go over a recap, got the win this week. That's not a good team.
Because he's sneaky.
Oakland, Las Vegas. That's not a good team in Vegas. And he got his first win because good coaches find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
We don't have a good coach, guys. We don't. And listen, I know it's week 1, so I can say these things, and I could be eating some humble pie if things turn around, and I'll be goddamn happy to if that happens. I don't see that happening. I don't. Like, who have we developed here? Where have we seen improvement? This is the 3rd year now. We're going into just nothing. Like it weighs on you. It weighs on you guys, point blank. And I want to thank you all for listening and being involved with this. Because quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's plenty of fans going ostrich style here. Ostrich style, and just sticking their head in the goddamn sand and saying, I'm not even doing anything with the Giants.
Yeah. Something's got to change. And like they've made a lot of moves in personnel, but not coaching personnel, just player personnel. And everyone in level wants to look at the players, and like that's where the moves are coming from. And obviously, like on the field, that's where it's going to come from. But like play calling. Like there's bad play calling in week one. There's been bad play calling for the past few years. There's been bad decisions of, let's talk about Dave's not going to backup kicker. And now Greneau has to go out and get hurt. And we have no kicker. Now we can't even go for extra field goals. Like, what? Like, yeah, it's not looking good. And I want to still ride that high horse, but it's hard to make excuses for these guys.
Yep. And I think Jay actually, not to toot his horns, he's been tooted enough here so far here, but he's right here. The whole thing is rotten. It's Wink's fault. It's Bobby Johnson's fault. It's Daniel Jones's fault. Eventually, you got to say, what's the goddamn common denominator here?
But listen, Bobby Johnson's there for way longer than all those guys. So, but
I'm saying Brian Daboll. He's been the guy there the whole time. He's still riding the coattails right now of 2022. We're in 2025. You haven't done shit since.
Right.
And I love it when during the offseason, John Mayer, the only thing the owner could possibly say about why we should keep Brian Daboll is continuity. Continuity is a great thing when things are going well. You don't want continuity when it's going like crap, guys. That's like saying I'm staying in a bad relationship because it's comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like I get his excuse for continuity. Year 3. Hey, listen, you have to have the opportunity to develop, to teach and learn, but like, yep, the only continuity we've had was getting worse and worse and worse every season.
Yeah, but
so
the greatest
continuity is not a good thing.
Continuity that was when you're bringing in new stuff anyway. You're bringing in a brand new quarterback. And now, let's say hypothetically, things continue the way they are. Like I said, I'm hoping I'm just ranting and overreacting on a Monday. We all do it sometimes. But now, you're basically wasting the rookie year of Jaxson Dart potentially with a coach he's not going to even see next year. Oh, yeah, and by the way, you spent a first-round pick on him, and we've talked about how you could move on from him, and that's not wrong. But let's say hypothetically, you bring him in, okay, and he plays, and he looks okay, and you go, you know what? Let's see what we got here. Let's develop this kid. Let's not use a first-round pick next year on a quarterback. You know, at least something positive out of the season. Then you got to hire a head coach that wants to work with Jaxson Dart. You limited yourself on who you can get as a coach now. What if the perfect guy you want to bring in just does not like Jaxson Dart for whatever reason? He's not coming here.
Yeah. Or he's coming on in stipulation like, hey, listen, I'm getting a quarterback in that draft, and he's not my starter.
Yeah.
He's going to be your backup. That's cool.
And this is why people keep bringing it up now lately, all day today. I've seen a lot of Giants fans do with John Gruden, because John Gruden freaking loved him some Jaxson Dart in that QB camp that Gruden does now. I guess now with Barstool Sports, but John Gruden's got his own baggage at that point there. First off, he's a personality that the Maras are not going to like. Be very clear on that. That's not their style. But honestly, it would send a message to fans at that point that it's okay, to go ahead and speak up to them. It'd actually probably be a very good look for them. But then you have the issue of the things he said. Listen, I'm not going to pretend to do every single comment he said in these emails and stuff like that. But I remember there was things that were
get a little saucy. Let's just say that.
Racist, homophobic, misogynistic, things of that nature is what they were called. Again, I don't have the emails in front of me. It wasn't a topic I intended on bringing up. John Gruden just kind of popped in my head because people keep bringing it up today. So you have a team right now that's being sued right now, to the best of my knowledge, still by Brian Flores for not hiring him because he's black. Because that's basically what he's suing the Giants saying. I think you're going to hire another coach that's also in the middle of a lawsuit with the NFL for having things that aren't so nice being released in emails. The optics aren't very good here, guys.
Yeah. I don't think Sloan, he probably does a good job. Just because, yeah.
So I don't have an answer for you guys. I wish I could give you an answer of what the solution is. All I can do right now is give you an answer what the problem is. And the problem point blank is Brian Daboll. And the problem point blank is John Mara for sticking with him another year. Should have moved on last year. Imagine a brand new coach coming in here with a brand new quarterback, a brand new team. There's a lot of new pieces in this team. He would have been given some leeway. We would think, okay, at least it's different. It's something new. We got to give it a little time. I have no patience for a guy in his fourth year as the head coach.
Yeah. In other words, they think, bye.
Yeah. It is time for him to go bye. That's for damn sure. So, all right. Let's get off that soapbox. Let's talk about the issue on the field. Let's talk about how bad the offensive line was and why. Because this was the biggest issue in this game here, guys, on offense, was that offensive line. As much as we want to rant about the Russell Wilson and Jaxson Dart thing, this offensive line is the biggest issue right now with this entire team. Here, again, I know people don't always like the PFF stuff, but that's the stats you can give with offensive linemen. So, James Hudson, the left tackle, 63.5 overall PFF grade, 58.7 against the run, 68.8 against the pass. With the pass, I should say. 1 sack, 2 hurries, 3 pressures he gave up. John Runyon, 53.5 overall PFF grade, 58.7 run blocking, 68.8 pass blocking. 2 hits, 2 hurries, 2 pressures. John Michael Schmitz, JMS done, 58.1, 42.5 against the run. Sorry, run blocking. We want to say against the run. Run blocking. 67.3 pass blocking. 2 hits, 2 hurries, 2 pressures. Greg Van Roten, who was solid as solid could be last year. 61.2. 51.6 run blocking. 74.7 pass blocking. 2 hits, 2 hurries, 2 pressures. Jermaine Illuminor, 52.5. 43.1 run block grade, 77.2. 1 hit, 1 pressure. And I'm going to give you one more of a quick side note. Because everybody talks about Marcus Bowe right now, because honestly, we're looking for anybody to be positive about. 47.9 PFF grade, guys, for Marcus Bowe. Who, by the way, should never be allowed to go for a pass again. Just saying. He's not a receiver. He's a lineman. That's bad. It's absolutely bad. And again, James Hudson, overpaid. John Runyon, overpaid. JMS, not developed. Greg Van Roten, we know what he is. He's a serviceable guy. Jermaine Illuminor, probably the best offensive lineman we have right now that's in actual uniform. And I shouldn't say probably, is. I called for it before week 1. I'm going to call for it again. Move Illuminor over to left tackle. That's where he should be.
Hands down. Well, I mean,
of the goddamn quarterback.
We've talked about it before as well. Before this season, that's where he plays some of his best football.
Yep. And someone's going to say, well, James Hudson plays left tackle. I don't give a damn if he can or can't play right tackle, because he can't play left tackle. That's where I'm at. I feel like anybody could step up and play as bad as he did. And I'd rather have the bad guy playing at right tackle. And I see the question already from Anthony that Marcus Bowe looked that bad. So who plays right tackle? Honestly, I put Marcus Bowe there over Hudson still. Even as bad as Bowe looked, at least you're developing a guy. And maybe I'm being kind of hypocritical as I'm saying sit Jaxson Dart so you don't ruin him. Maybe we're taking a risk and ruining Bowe if we do that. But you got to try something different. This ain't working, guys. And hopefully Thomas just comes back. And we're all this is for naught. But the biggest issue right now is, again, who's to blame? And it's freaking Joe Shane. This is where I keep getting back to, like, last year we said, cut them all loose and start fresh again. And I hate to do that again. But based on what we saw this first week, we were right in that.
Yeah. I mean,
ignored this line.
He tried to put a Band-Aid on a wound that needed deep stitches. And it shows. As soon as it comes under pressure, it just buckles.
It wasn't even a Band-Aid. It was like they put Scotch tape on it. Like, you got James Hudson, who got overpaid and sucks from this year. We said that going into, you and I were both like, what the hell when they signed him? Why would you give 2 years, $12 million to a guy who sucked? There had to be better options out there. John Runyon overpaid him. We saw it in Hard Knocks. He was basically like, give me more money, I'm going to the Jets. Go to the fucking Jets. That's what you want.
I mean, we overpaid it because there's nothing better out there. But, like, at the same time, bye.
Yeah. So we overpaid to get a crappy player when we could have gotten another crappy player cheaper.
Exactly. And then wouldn't feel bad saying, see you later, sign someone better.
Yeah. And then you go into JMS, who point blank has not developed. And I want to get pissed at him, but I also want to get pissed at the Giants about his lack of development. Because who the hell have they developed? At what point do we say it's not the player's fault? It's the goddamn team. The guy's been injured pretty much his whole entire time with the Giants. Isn't that the thing we say about every single one? Like, at what point do we know the issue is with the medical team of the Giants and the issues with the coaching staff not developing these players? So I'm not going to give JMS that. I'm not giving him a pass. Don't get me wrong. The onus has to go on him as well because he's the player in the end. But it's a shared blame scenario. Same with Evan Neal, by the way. At a certain point, the Giants got to stand up and say, oh my God, what the hell?
Yeah, listen, you take these players and you're paying them. Like, at the end of the day, like, this is a job. Like, and I hate to put numbers on people, but, like, this is a job, right? So you sign a contract for someone to put up X amount of numbers, right? You sign a sales guy to sell you 12,000 vacuums in a year, and he comes up with 700. You're firing his ass. If he comes up with, we'll say 1,050, you're like, all right, listen, you didn't beat expectations, but you're right there in the ballpark. Let's keep you there. None of these guys have done that thus far, but it's also, your corporate office doesn't train you how to sell vacuums.
Yeah,
so it's Evan Neal, like, I'm a little more salty about, but, like, when it comes to GMS, like, the guy fought hard year one. He was injured. He looked good for a rookie, and that's where the last night's thing. He just kind of went downhill. Like, I don't know if he just gave up or what the situation.
He's the Evan Neal of centers. JMS's a guy who was highly touted coming out of college, got injured like crazy as a Giant, and has not panned out and developed in any way, shape, or form. Who else does that sound like? Oh, yeah. Josh Azudu. Oh, yeah. Marcus McKeithen. Oh, yeah. Every single goddamn lineman we draft. At what point did the Giants look in the mirror and say, we are the problem? It's got to get done.
Yeah.
Medium Cokes, they get a cut up this time, guys.
Not even a large Coke.
You got to admit that you're the problem. You can't change things until you admit that you are the problem. The Giants have to top to bottom change everything. And we called for this a while ago. They need a football czar, so to speak, a guy who they trust to go in there and change everything top to bottom. And I'd love to throw names out there for you guys. I don't know who right now. I really don't. It's way too early to know what's going to happen by the end of the year and who's available and who can go ahead and change things. There's not a lot of names out there I trust with that kind of thing necessarily. And I should say not a lot of known names. Like a lot of the guys that do that kind of guys that are kind of behind the scenes guys. That's just where we're at, guys. And Real Cold G says we can't develop a photo in a dark room. Damn straight. That is a good one. And here's the breaking news from today, by the way. The Giants signed a new offensive lineman to the practice squad. Reed Holsky, who is an undrafted rookie free agent from Miami of Ohio. This is his rookie season in the NFL. Will be his third team. That fixes it.
Yeah.
Problem solved, guys. We can move on now. Let's go. We got this.
Nah.
That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
And this is like what the Giants do now, by the way. This has become an annual rite of passage. We start having just a show on issues the Giants are ignoring. And then 6 months later, we can go, look, we're right. We said it along that the Giants brought back basically the same offensive line with some better backups. It's an improvement, sure, but not a great improvement. And that'll be more obvious, obviously, once we get, Andrew Thomas back, as far as the improvement side of that. But I say improvement. It went from like one notch. I don't mean like a full notch too. I mean like a 1% change. Like that's the difference we're talking here. You ignore the problem. Same as last year, you ignored the run defense. Guess what you did this year again, by the way? You ignored the run defense. You brought a bunch of scrubs in. And you know what? Again, I said it during the show yesterday, and I'll say it again. Look at the team we faced yesterday. Because they rebuilt their entire defensive line this offseason, basically. Besides Payne, they rebuilt the whole entire defensive line. Besides Dexter Lawrence, we should have rebuilt our whole entire defensive line. And I'm not even the pass rush. I mean the guys up front, the tackles, the big guys, the big fatties. We didn't do it. We ignored it again. And the year before, last year, we ignored the fact that we didn't have an actual CB1. We put Banks there. It wasn't ready. Like it's pathetic. And I'm going to say it this way. For Rob and I, who are fans, listen, we're diehard Giants fans. We know more about football than the average person by all means. But we're not sitting there trying to say like Rob and I are about to start a scouting academy. Like we don't front like that. This is a fan podcast. When we can see the problems, don't tell me Joe.
You would imagine someone higher up that gets paid for it could see these problems.
You would think that. And part of my concern really is God forbid they put Jaxson Dart in, and all of a sudden this team starts playing better and it buys more time for everybody. Joe Shane, Brian Daboll.
Like, that's part of the problem. Like it is inevitable when it's going to happen because let's be real, it's inevitable.
Inevitable.
But
Jay says you should travel around and do food and vacuum reviews for us. we're branching out.
That sucks. That sucks, and this blows.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but we all know what's going to happen. Is that if Russell doesn't change the way he plays, Winston's not the next guy to go in. Most likely, unless it happens like week 3, you might see maybe Dart come in halfway through the game, and they'll probably put Winston in to play a few more games, and then you're gonna put Dart back in because that's what the fans want, and that's what's going to save Shane and
That's what
Daboll's job.
I think they will throw Dart out there to protect themselves. I really do. And
Yeah.
I wish I didn't think that because that's a horrible thought to say. But it's the honest truth of what I think.
Because,
So-
like, listen, I mean, how? I wish they were right? So, if Dart's the answer, and they think that's the guy, but they want to help develop him, but they throw him out there. So to say, week 9, and we win another 6 games, which is twice as many we won last year. Like, look like a stud. He looks amazing. Saves job.
Yeah.
Our future. But it also goes to neglect everything else you just said that they have neglected over the past 4 years.
Yep.
Offensive line, your front defensive tackle, your pass rush, our secondary. Like, we talk about having a good defense, but oh wait, our big fat guys can't stop a run, and the guys in the backfield can't stop a catch. What the point's of defense if you can't stop a run or stop a catch? Like, what's the point of defense?
Yeah. We got to give a shout out here real quick also to Ronnie Rivers. Says the offensive pocket looked horrible. Coaching is to blame. Same old plays, overreacted and over again. They got to go. Exactly. We got a clean house.
Yeah.
We and I'm pissed right now that we didn't do this already last offseason. I really am. I think that's what's got me more riled up than anything else. Is you and I said point blank, let's get rid of Shane. Let's get rid of Daboll. Let's start fresh and new. Let's go ahead and get a new quarterback. Let's get a new coach. Let's get a new GM. Legit bring in a whole new era of Giants football. And instead, nope. And we bought into the optimism. We did. Luckily, not to the point of other people. Other people were like, oh, look, they're like Super Bowl bound practically. Some people were talking.
No.
And you're muted, Rob. We can't hear you.
You're muted, Drew.
We're going to play some vacuum sounds for you instead.
Oh, snap.
So, tips his goofballs were right last year. It's bound to happen eventually. If we talk enough. But yeah, it's like, and listen, we got a nice little freeze on Rob's shirt now. It's a nice shirt, blue, little dark blue dots there. At this point, his attire is more entertaining to talk about than the Giants. That's where it's getting to be. You know, but it's just like I said, it's getting to the point where it's really sad and pathetic where we're at with this team. Really, it just is. So, all right. Let's talk about one last thing that's also going to probably make us sad, to be honest, before we get going with our recap from last week there. And we got to ask the honest question at this point here. Was he the problem? And of course, we're talking point blank about Daniel Jones, who looked amazing, last week. Oh, seriously, yesterday for the Colts. He was considered the problem for how many years with the Giants? And obviously, is it really fair to keep on saying that he was the problem? And I think it's not necessarily fair to say he's entirely the problem. But I think it's fair to say still that he was part of the problem. Like, I feel like it's like, when like you see somebody break up with somebody and later on they're like, oh, maybe they weren't so bad after all. No, he was that bad, guys. Let's be very clear about that. He was that bad for the Giants. And I feel like to sugarcoat that and make it seem like he wasn't is a little ridiculous. Like we can't just act like that. He also played the Miami Dolphins last week, guys. And I know, sorry, everybody's all excited. Daniel Jones, absolutely amazing. He looks great against the Dolphins. Yeah, the Dolphins. I'm telling you right now, Dolphins are going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. I just got a vibe like that. I really do. So I get it. He went 22 with 29, 272 yards and 3 total touchdowns. He also got handed point blank 2 interceptions and a fumble by Tua before the third quarter was even over. Like, people are acting like he's like the second coming of like Joe Montana now because he beat one team. The whole reason I wanted this segment really was to give you guys a caution of, if you want to sit there and say Daniel Jones is not as bad as we were, thinking he was. Okay, listen. You can't sit there and say anything about the Giants, about the developing players that we've been talking about. They can't develop players. You can't sit there and say that Daniel Jones could be better potentially elsewhere. But the bar is so low based on how he played, guys. He's not good. He is not good. So, like I said, I don't want to harp too much on Daniel Jones. He doesn't play for the Giants anymore. He's done. We've moved on. I just keep seeing fans talk about him as if this was a missed opportunity for the Giants potentially. It's not a missed opportunity for the Giants, guys. We saw him. We saw him for how many years? We know what he was. He is not the answer. And trust me, the Colts will figure that out eventually too, when they have to play a real team, not the Dolphins. So, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and pay the bills real quick and then come back with the recap there of all the action from week 1 in the NFL there, guys.
Thanks for watching. Like the show? Of course you do, or you would have turned it off by now and not be hearing me. There are plenty of ways to support the show. YouTube is the best place to join us, and we offer memberships there with fun benefits like custom emojis and early access to video clips. Of course, there you can also send super chats and stickers to send one-time support payments. The best way to support the show is to buy these drunk idiots beers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Along with one-time support payments, there are also monthly plans, so you can continue to help kill their livers each month. You can also show people that you are a goofball by visiting our store at 2giantgoofballs-shop.fourthwall.com. We got everything from shirts, hats, phone cases, funny candles, buttons, stickers, and even a 2 Giant Goofballs towel to dry off your goofballs. Of course, you can always support the show for free by simply hitting the like, subscribe, and share button wherever you are watching or listening to this. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show tremendously, and quite frankly, the goofballs suck at marketing and need your help to get the word out. Thank you for being part of the Goofball Army and for taking the time out to support the show.
All righty, guys. So let's get right into the action here from week 1 in the NFL, because absolute crazy week, as week 1 always is. We always tell you whenever we do our picks every year, week 1 is the week that if you want to bet money in the NFL, don't do a week 1. Don't do it, because it's such a crapshoot. You just never know what's going to happen. So, all right, I think we got Rob back here though. Let's see.
Hello.
There he is. Rob is back.
I'm back.
Back again. Tell a friend. Perfect timing here for us to go through our recap of my victory in week 1. Oops, did I spoil that?
3 points is nothing.
4 points. So anyway, real quick, the rundown on the earlier games here. So obviously y'all probably already, this is kind of old news. We want to give you at least our pick results on it real quick. So we got, of course, obviously the Thursday game was the Cowboys at Eagles. You and I both picked Rob the Eagles to win, to beat the spread, and to get the over on that. And the game in the end was 24 Eagles and 20 for the Cowboys there. So the Cowboys actually did beat the spread. So we each got 1 point each for the win, lost on the spread, and lost on the over-under. We had 46.5 on the over-under. So obviously at 44 points, that didn't quite hit. We also had, of course, the Friday game, the Chiefs at the Chargers. And yeah, that was not good, a good game for us there. Because we both picked the Chiefs to win, but the Chargers squeaked out that one in Brazil 27-21. You did pick the Chargers for the spread picks, so you got a point for that one. And we both had the under, and it was the over on that. So therefore, neither one of us got anything on that. So Willie, you got 1 point. That's it for us in that. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a really bad game.
And that game kind of goes to show you, like, probably what kind of Chiefs we're going to play. Just spiteful and who knows, some downward spiral, which we both said go into that. But also, let's look at the Chargers.
Yeah, and we said
Like,
Chargers will be a better team this year with Harbaugh in there. That's for sure. I like Harbaugh as a coach. I just think he has a shelf life. I think after a couple of years, he's pretty much done.
yeah,
So,
that's pretty fair.
yeah. So, all right, 1 o'clock games. Let's get to the one yesterday here.
All right. So, do you want me to go at 70s or do you want to run this down?
Well, I'm not sure you're going to be able to with your setup you got right now. So,
let's go, Drew.
Anthony said, by the way, real quick, got to give him the thank you there for 99 super chat there. Much appreciated support as always, man. As Jay says, dance time. As Rob gave you a little dance, a nice little Irish jig there or something.
Well, no, Irish jigs use no hands, Drew.
Is that it?
Probably the problem with your dance.
These things, okay. I'm such a mutt. I don't know any of the dances. That's why I can't dance. I'm too much of a mutt. So, all right, let's get into the 1 o'clock games here from Sunday. So, first game we got there, the Buccaneers and the Falcons in an NFC South matchup there, which it's hard to get excited about the NFC South because the division sucks so much. But this actually is usually a good matchup here. Bucs have won the division the last 4 years in a row, and the Falcons end up winning both times there against the Bucs last year. End result this time different. Bucs win 23-20. Baker led the Bucs to a game-winning drive in the final 2 minutes. After already missing a field goal in the game, the Bucs also missed the extra point on that last final touchdown as well, which gave the Falcons a chance to try to tie it up with a last-minute field goal. Penix did drive the team down to go ahead and attempt a 44-yard field goal with just 6 seconds left, and the Falcons missed it. By the way, this is a theme this week. Missed field goals left and right.
And Drew, let's talk about Penix Jr., who's coming too. What was that?
He looked spectacular, I thought, in that game compared to for a guy who only played 3 weeks. Maybe I'm just biased. I like Penix.
No, listen, he was it's going to be at the end of this week. He's going to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks, that wise.
Yeah, and he's still developing. I think this is going to be the year we kind of by the end of the year have a better idea of what he is. But I still have faith in him. But I just think Baker right now is probably one of the most underrated players in the NFL, if not the most underrated in the NFL. He's an above average quarterback. He's not quite elite. Like, he's very good, though.
I as my own bias, like, listen, Baker burnt a lot of people in fantasy, burnt a lot of people just overall thinking he's going to be this great player. Playing in Tampa has been the best thing that's happened to him and Tampa Bay in a long time. And besides Tom Brady, can't get away from that. But
years ago, Tom Brady.
But I'm just saying, like, it brought Tampa Bay from being a terrible team, and obviously they were not a great team before Tom Brady, but like they have now not had a bad team in the course of 8 years.
Let's be honest, we would kill to have the last 5-6 years the Bucs have had.
Yeah, I mean, great. They've had some great talent, throw the ball down to, but that's also QB play.
Which need to win is right down. Crazy.
Yeah.
Someone should have formed Joe Schoen of this, that's for sure. But anyway, again, 23-20 on the Bucs there. I had the Bucs to win. You had the Falcons to win. We both had the Falcons to beat the spread, and we both picked the under. So I got 2 points. You got 1 of that. As Jay also mentions, that rookie wide receiver for the Bucs there from Ohio State can play. And by the way, also Sterling Shepard 30 yards in that game too as well. Sterling Shepard still doing it. So yeah, it's amazing. He's also
that
healthy.
Rascal.
Somehow leaving the Giants made him magically healthy, as if there's an issue with the Giants team as a whole. Just saying. Let's
Bradley get 30 yards a game every 4 games. Stop.
All right, next up, we got a lot of games to go with here this week here. So we got the Bengals and at the Browns here, the Battle of Ohio there, in the battle for the state nobody wants. The Bengals end up squeaking out a win 17-16 there. In the fourth quarter, the Browns missed a field goal. Their defense got the ball back in the Bengals just to have the ball tipped on from a wide receiver's hands into being an interception to seal the game. Like, this is as Browns a way of possibly, losing as possible. Like, it's just, you can't even write this stuff. I feel bad for them because, like, they were there. They should have won the game point blank. Should have won the game.
They really tried to lose that game.
They didn't just try. They did lose the game. They succeeded in losing the game. That's the crazy.
Well, they didn't try to win. Is what I'm trying to say. They tried to lose that game. It is crazy.
Yeah, like I said, it's absolutely insanity here. Now, you and I, I picked the Bengals to win. You picked the Browns to win. We did the same for the spread. I picked the Bengals. You picked the Browns. So we evened out on that. We each won one of those. And then I had the under. You had the over. So I get the 1 point for the under at that point there. So I get the slight victory 2-1 on that one there. Next up, we got the DJ Bowl. We already talked about it a little bit there. The Colts won 33-8, and Peyton Manning was in the house there as the Colts were also honoring start of the game there. Late owner Jim Irsay, and it looked like there was like a second Peyton Manning the way Daniel Jones played. Again, 22 of 29, 272 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and a passing touchdown. 2, on the other hand, again, 2 interceptions and a fumble by the third quarter. And the Colts ended up being the first team since 1977. Now, that just says, guys, this has never happened in my entire lifetime. The first
close to it.
1977 to literally score a point on every single drive in a game. Keep in mind that doesn't happen very often because usually there's at least one punt. Sometimes the clock just runs out of the half, or you kneel down and just take the win at that point. No, they literally every single drive they score points. Absolutely insanity. So let's see here on I had picked the Dolphins to win because I didn't trust Daniel Jones. Apparently, I should have not trusted Tua more. You picked the Colts, so you got the win there. You picked the Colts to beat the spread there 1.5, so therefore you got the point there. I picked the under, as did you. So you end up getting all 3 correct. Got your trifecta. I just get the 1 for the under at that point. So yeah, you definitely got me on that one there. Apparently, I was just too smitten there on.
You're too jaded by DJ.
On how bad DJ is there. Yeah, it is what it is. Listen, I still think he's bad, but we'll find out. Time will tell. Next up, we got the Panthers at the Jaguar in the lightning round here. That game was like hours of being delayed here. You thought the Thursday night game was delayed for lightning. This one takes the cake, that's for sure. That Florida Lightning just keep on hitting there. Jaguars win 26-10. And listen, there's nothing really you could do to sum up this game other than saying flat out the Jaguars were just a better team. The Panthers looked bad. I'm sure the break didn't help either team really at that point there, but the Panthers just flat out looked bad in that. And you and I don't look good for that because you and I both had the Panthers to win, the Panthers to beat the spread, and the over on the points. So we just goose-egged across the board on that one.
Yeah. I mean, it was supposed to be like the Panthers, like, hey, we looked way better in the second half of last year, and Jacksonville just took advantage of their rivals and just won.
Yeah, absolutely 100% there. Next up, we had Sneaky Pete and the new Las Vegas Raiders going into New England to battle the Patriots there. You had the passing attack to the Raiders was 100% what made the wins there. I mean, Ashton Genty, all the hype he got at that point there, 19 rushes, 38 yards, and a touchdown. That's it.
Listen, everyone wants to give credit to like that, the number 1 running back coming out, like still a rookie.
Yeah,
still a rookie.
I still a rookie. I get it, but in the end, I feel like running back is the easiest position pretty much to come in and just make an impact as a rookie. Because what do? You just run, hit the hole. Like nothing changes college to pro. Your pass protection changes a lot. That's what gets more, difficult to figure out there. But there's not much that's to figure out there. Otherwise, I mean, it's simple. You go in this gap, you hit the hole. Like that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And Jay says that's why we need to hire like Pete Carroll who can stabilize the franchise. Yeah, maybe Pete Carroll should have been the guy we brought in to replace Daboll at the offseason. I would.
I would.
And
I would have loved that
if Russell Wilson did not come here.
I would have been okay with that as well.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a double hit there at that point. So again, Raiders 20, Patriots 13. On that there, let's see here. I had the Raiders to win. You had the Patriots. I had the Raiders to cover the spread, which they did. Again, you had the Patriots. I had the under. You had the over. So you goose egged that one, and I got my trifecta.
Whole thing.
So
pretty much the difference in the whole week.
It was that one game. I told you, Sneaky Pete. Never, ever. Don't trust.
Listen, that was my motto going forward. And damn it, I thought I had faith in Drake May. God damn Drake May.
Nope. I have no faith right now in the Patriots until proven otherwise. Next up, the Steelers at the Jets. Who would have thought the offensive juggernaut game would be the Steelers at the Jets? But that's what it was, guys. So
they're great for my fantasy.
Justin Fields to Garrett Wilson looks like a good duo there. Justin Fields was actually throwing the ball somewhat decent there. I won't say amazing, but somewhat decent, which is all you should need there with that defense in with the Jets there. But the defense so didn't show up. 34 points. I mean, Aaron Rodgers goes off for 4 touchdowns. That's insanity. I saw somebody make this comment, and it's hilarious because it's so true. The Packers actually brought back the team from 15 years ago to celebrate their 15th anniversary of their Super Bowl victory, the one ring that Aaron Rodgers got. And Aaron Rodgers couldn't be there because he was still slinging 4 touchdowns 15 years later. Kind of impressive. I hate to say it because Rodgers is kind of a jerk. That's kind of impressive. It really is. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's also.
You want to say otherwise, but it is. No, it is. You can't even say otherwise.
Oh, it is. Hands down, it is. But it's also same time like also like his revenge game against the Jets. Like the Jets was not a good team defensively this year. Won't be. And it's
I'm
like
not Aaron Glenn as a coach, so I'll say that right off the bat. I mean, you basically took the guy from the Lions because the Lions are winning, but the Lions aren't winning because of the defense. They're winning because of the offense. That's the honest truth of the matter.
Yeah.
That's like saying you were going to go get the defensive coordinator from the Rams back in the greatest show on turf. Like, that just didn't make sense. Not that Mike Marks was a good head coach either, just saying. But, it's just things like that have to be said. Aaron Rodgers after the game. I got to put this comment in there because this definitely riled up a lot of Jets fans. And since we're riled up as Giant fans, we got to go ahead and do that there. Aaron Rodgers said, "It was nice to win, especially hearing some of the cat calls out there and the boo birds." First off, who says that? Cat calls and boo birds.
Hey. Is he our kid? Maybe that's his guy.
And then he says, "I'm not sensitive about that. I expected that. I kind of like that." Okay, I'm going to call BS on him right there. Point blank. You're bringing it up in the post-game interview. It bothered you. Just say that.
He's so here's the thing. He's the guy say it doesn't bother him because he won. They lost. That's disrespectful. That's the guy he is.
I'm not buying that for a heartbeat. It bothered him. And then he says, but there were probably people in the organization who didn't think I could play anymore. So it was nice to remind those people that I still can. And then he was asked about Aaron Glenn. If he was happy to beat Aaron Glenn. Again, obviously Aaron Glenn again brought him in, made him fly out to New York just to tell him that they were going to go in a different direction. and he says, "I was happy to beat everybody associated with the Jets." So yeah, safe to say no love lost between the Jets and Aaron Rodgers at this point. That was definitely a very messy. Anyway, Steelers, we both had them to win, so we got that. We both had them to cover the spread, but they only won by 2 points. It was 2.5 point spread, so we missed that one there. I had the under, you had the over. So yeah, you got 2 points. I got 1 point in that one. Not a good game for me. Next up, the Giants at the Commanders. Again, we already know enough on this. Commanders win 21-6. You want to hear our thoughts on that? Go to the post-game episode we did yesterday. It's probably the best point. If you start us ranting again, we're going to keep on ranting and not stop. Commanders win, so I got the point for that. Giants, you and I both put the Giants to beat the spread at that point because we do typically play the Commanders close, and that obviously did not work out in our favor. So we didn't get that. You picked the over, I picked the under on that. So we got a little bit of points on that one there. But yeah, we got to stop. We just got to stop doing the Giants as like a homer pick. we got to stop having faith in them at this point. There, I feel like. Let's get into the 4 o'clock games here. So Titans at the Broncos. Got Cam Ward's NFL debut against what could potentially be the best defense in all of the NFL. Not a good way to start your career. And basically that's what it boils down to is the Broncos D was too much for the rookie quarterback there. 12 of 18 and 112 yards was the stats for Cam Ward, who quite frankly needs to learn to stop running backwards when the pressure hits at that point. He took 16-yard loss and 1 sack alone. But I mean, overall didn't do turnovers. So it could be a whole lot worse, that's for sure for him. But again, Broncos win 20-12. So let's see here. You and I both had the Broncos to win. We got the points there. You and I actually had the Broncos as the spread pick. Now the spread went to 8.5 points. It was 8 when we did the show. So in the end, we can't give ourselves that. Can't do it. And then you and I both picked the over because honestly, we thought the Broncos put up a whole lot more points than they did. So yeah, crazy. I mean, we thought both.
I don't know if you know it. I don't know if you know what it's called. It's called a push.
I know
it's a no point. It's called no point.
But I actually looked up to see what the spread went to see if we can give.
Yeah, but that's not fair to say. If I bet it on,
I get it. We got to have a win or a loss. There's no goddamn ties. I hate the ties. They drive me nuts.
You can't say that. It's called a push. It's push.
That's why I told everybody point blank it was 8 when we made our spread picks at that point.
You still get no points. It's a push.
I know that. The same result. I hate the ties. I hate the ties. The push thing is stupid. Every single one should be based on
well, no, it's not fair because if it's 8.5, I would have went under.
I'm just saying we didn't get the win either way.
Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't change our scores in the day. 49ers at the Seahawks. In what must be, I think the Seahawks are probably the only fan base as disappointed as we are today. Like, seriously, you change up everything, in the second year after you forced out Sneaky Pete. You go ahead and get a new quarterback in Sam Darnold, get rid of Geno Smith. He wins over in, Foxborough, and then you have this abomination of a game. The 49ers 17 and the Seahawks 13. And both offenses, guys, point blank looked bad. It's one of those
very bad.
He had to win. That's where it boiled down to. Brock Purdy did end up leading a late TD drive that was capped off with a highlight catch there. As crazy as it sounds in a bad offensive game by third string tight end Jake Tongas, who was only in the game because George Kittle was already out in the game. He was in as now the second tight end, being that George Kittle was out. And I'll tell you, highlight reel kind of catch. Go ahead and look it up. Jake Tongas, Tonges, if you want to search the catch there. I can't show it because of copyright issues and all. NFL will come down on us. Seahawks did get a chance to win it in the red zone after that late TD drive, but Nick Bosa actually went ahead and caused a fumble on Sam Darnold with basically end of the game there. So absolute craziness there. McCaffrey on the day, we talked about what he's going to be healthy. Is he not going to be healthy? And that's a big, big, big thing for the Niners, the way this team is now. 142 total yards. So not a bad day for him there, where it was a late injury added to the injury list for him there. So let's see here. You and I both had the Seahawks to win and cover. So that didn't work out. We both had the under, though. So we got the points for that one there. This is the problem with us picking every single game, no matter what. Because half these games I wouldn't have touched with my 10-foot pole, point blank.
Yeah, this game, let's be real. Like, you got the Niners who are banged up coming to this game. Like, and that's a nice way to put it. Banged up. And you got a divisional game with just a new all-around offense. You don't know what to expect. And, the Niners have been playing the Seahawks well, but it's like a 60-40 split over the past year. So, you look at this, it really is a flip of coin, especially in week one.
Yeah, well, it's also, you don't know what to expect out of the Seahawks with everything with the changes. That's a lot of changes.
That's what I'm saying.
Both receivers, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, they get rid of Geno Smith. They bring in Sam Darnold, which you don't know what you're getting into Sam Darnold still. You only have one good year. Absolute craziness.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You look at the Niners offense, right? So the best guy out there is McCaff and Kittle. So McCaff just coming off a crazy injury, who I've joked around before when we're making bets is he's the best when he's not the number one overall pick in football. You got Kittle, who's over the hill coming to the tight end position. And he played well too. He got hurt and was taken out of the game. And then you had Deebo Samuel, who's no longer with the Niners because guess what? He just kicked the crap out of the Giants.
Yep.
So it's you're looking at this game. It's like, who's pretty thrown it to?
I'm going to give you some pushback on Kittle being old, though. He's 31. If he was a running back, yes, he'd be old. For a tight end, he's at the tail end of his prime.
Well, stats will argue otherwise because the past few years he's not put up the numbers. So I think his best numbers he was like 27 or 28. So
if we're going just based on numbers alone, I mean, he had 1,106 yards last year, which was his second highest total.
Okay, what was the year before?
Year before, he had 1,020, which is his fourth highest.
The year before that.
Okay, we're gonna go back 3 years. Now he's 28 years old.
I literally said his best year was 27, 28. So, are you talking about that short term? Yeah,
27, 28. We'll find out in a couple of years if that's his best season.
No, see, now if you're not giving me the stats are stats, right? So last year, second best. I said no. Give me last year. The year before that is stats. Like Kittle's still good, and Kittle got a lot of receptions last year because what's his face got injured in receiving, so Kittle came back to the receiving offense.
Okay. So fine, we'll go the year before that. The year before that, he was, let's see here, 765 yards in 15 games, and then 900.
No, it's top four. I guess that's not his top two. So you're telling me
what I'm saying is
I'm not saying
top 4 seasons, and you're saying that he's getting old and he's slowing down. I got to stand up for the player.
Just saying, took a step back. I know the reason he had more yards is because there's injuries on the offense last year.
I'm saying point blank that I don't think that. If you look at his targets, 94 last year, 90 the year before that. Year before that, 86. The year before that, 94. His targets.
So you're telling me. So he was on a slump, and he had a great year last year. Perfect. Cool.
No,
because that's not a decline.
Where are you getting that from? 94 and 90 the last 2 years.
Yeah. But his best years in the past 4 years was last year.
You made the case. You made the case that this is a reason because he was getting more targets, getting targeted more. So what I'm showing you is this is the target.
Oh, I didn't say he was starting more.
You said because he was getting more because he was the only guy to throw the ball to. It's basically what you said because of the injuries.
Yeah, well, last year. So
targets. That's the targets. 94 targets last year. He had 1,106 yards. And again, 90 the year before that, 86 the year before that, 94 the year before that. That's not off his pace. If you want to go,
you're looking at completion. So
no, I'm not. I'm looking at targets, not completions. That's targets.
Yeah.
Completion wise, his completions were 78, 65, 60, and 71. He was actually more efficient last year. I got to stand up for Kittle. Yeah. I got to stand up for Kittle. Oh my gosh. Jason's the only thing I trust Rob's opinion on his buffet recommendations. Not if he's going to the Golden Corral.
Just saying.
It's not exactly the best place to go. That's for damn sure. Anyway, let's get on to the 425 games. I still hate to do 405 and 420. Just call them all 4 o'clock games.
Yeah.
First one is the Packers with the Lions coming into town here, which is supposed to be a very exciting NFC North matchup there. One team obviously riding high on the Micah Parsons pickup there, which you can tell the Packers were excited to play with this guy point blank, who had a kind of, it was like in half the snaps, basically had 1 sack and 3 more pressures in the game there. And the Lions offense looked like nothing like it's looked the last couple of years at all. Ben Johnson obviously has moved on to the Chicago Bears. And yeah, I don't know. I don't want to sit there and say it's all Ben Johnson, but definitely something seems to be wrong in Denmark based on that game there. Again, it's one game. I don't want to go too crazy off one game. But Packers crushed the Lions. So it looked in total like control of the entire game, start to finish. 27-13 was the final score there. In that game there, you and I both picked the Packers to win. We both picked the Packers to go ahead and cover. You picked the under on the points, so you got the trifecta on that one. That was the one thing I was wrong on, was that there. But yeah, losing the coordinators, both on defense and offense, in one off season is not very. And like I said, Dan Campbell's a great motivator. We said this going into the game. Dan Campbell's a great motivator. I can't sit there and say he's a great offensive coach. I can't sit there and say he's a great defensive coach. He's a CEO type of head coach.
I do have to say, if anyone's out there still happy in fantasy football, be on the same team, in the same league, I also picked the Packers defense for this week over the Ravens. Everyone said I was crazy. So, hey,
I wouldn't say you're crazy for that matchup. The Josh Allen and the Bills do typically put up some points against the Ravens, but we'll get to that matchup shortly there. Next one up, we got the Texans at the Rams, and another game of, I guess, somebody had to win. Like, that's pathetic. This game was. It was crazy.
It should have been a very, very good game. It felt like it should have been a very high-powered, offensive, fun game, and it was vanilla.
I mean, it was a close game, so it was a fun one to watch, but 14-9 was the end result there. I mean, Rams also, they put up a lot of yards, just couldn't put up a lot of points to go with it. Puka Nacua at 10 catches, 130 yards. He left the field in the game as well. Injuries definitely are always an issue with him. Matt Stafford, 21 of 29, 245 yards and a touchdown. Ended up eclipsing 60,000 passing yards in his career. Only I think they said 9 people to do that in the NFL history. So kudos to Matt Stafford, because that's anytime you're one of the 9 people to do something in over 100-year history of the NFL, you're doing something right. I still don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but he definitely goes in the Hall of Very Good. The game actually ended because running back Dare Ugunbale, I'm going to probably mispronounce his name. Sorry, I don't mean to be that butcher guy, but fumbled late in the game as the Texans were driving, which basically sealed up the loss there for them. So yeah, absolutely crazy close game there. Came down the wire. So there was a lot of fun there with that. But yeah, definitely you know, could have been a little bit better, that's for sure. But yeah. More offense I would have liked, but I'll take a close game. It's an old school game, I
Yeah.
guess. Not the game you expect to be the old school game, but that's what happened there. Um, Here's the crazy game here, and I think a lot of people had more fun probably watching this one because it was a high scoring game, and that was
A lot of
the
fun.
Sunday night football here.
Sunday
Oh,
night.
I forgot to go over what we picked on those things, didn't I? Rams, you and I both had the Rams to win, Rams to cover, and we had the over on the points there. So we were right on the Rams overall, just wrong on the points. So did not too bad on that one there. Ravens at the Bills. And this one was not looking very close at all in the beginning. Bills were actually down 34-19 in the fourth quarter. Then each team got a quarterback. That's not quarterback. Each team got a touchdown. Getting late here. Ravens end up going up at that point 40-25 with 4 minutes left in the game. You would think that'd be it. Keon Coleman
Nope.
getting a diving touchdown catch off a deflection with 3 minutes left. Next drive, Ed Oliver rips the ball out of Derrick Henry for a fumble. Just 2 plays later, Josh Allen's diving in for a touchdown with just under 2 minutes. The go for a 2-point conversion, which fails. So now Ravens go 3 and out there after that. So now the ball is 1 minute 33 seconds left. It was a 4th and 2nd they didn't go for, by the way. Chris Collinsworth was saying even during the broadcast, maybe the Ravens just go for this because Josh Allen needs to be a man at a mission here. But they elected to just go ahead and punt it. 2 passing plays later, set up for a 32-yard game-winning field goal with just 3 seconds left. Bills squeak out a win, 41-40. Josh Allen on the day,
Fantastic game.
46, 394 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 additional rushing touchdowns. So 4 touchdowns. You have him in your fantasy team, Rob? Because goddamn.
No, actually, I had Lamar Jackson, who was spectacular.
Yeah,
But that's only because I couldn't get Josh Allen. Who I think, listen, at the end of the day, I will not hide it. I think Josh Allen is the best quarterback this year. Play football. Probably last year as well. He is the modern day, like I want to say Mahomes, because Mahomes is, he's very, very talented. But he's taken a step back the past 2 years. He is not throwing the ball or has done what he was doing, and we're still riding a high horse. But your top 3 quarterbacks in this NFL this year is going to be Mahomes. I'm sorry, it's going to be Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Burrow, and then Mahomes takes a step back.
Honestly, until proven otherwise, I'll still say Mahomes is the best right now. I gotta see more time with him before I sit there and say otherwise. But honestly, if I had to give the analysis as far as like a comparison to a prior generation, I would say Patrick Mahomes is Tom Brady and Josh Allen is Peyton Manning.
That's fair, because Tom Brady will go up, win you Super Bowl, but it will be a top 14, 13 quarterback. Like he won't make he won't technically be like 15, but he won't quite make the 10. Like there's been years where he's done very minimum to win a Super Bowl, and there's been years where he's been the overall like number 1 quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I mean, and he got better as he got older too, which was the crazy part because he got just that more smarter about the game there. Whereas, Peyton Manning was the stat compiler, really would lose in the playoffs quite often. Finally got a ring, got dragged to the second one. That I'm thinking
literally by snack.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty bad there. So overall, listen, we got one more game to go, so we'll have to see what happens overall. But overall, so far, we didn't do bad necessarily on the picks, straight up picks. I got 11 of them right for of the 15 games that are so far done. You got 8 up, and now we lost Rob again. And then on the spread picks there, we each got only 5 of them right so far. Again, this is why we would say do not bet week 1. we still don't know who everybody is in the NFL. I swear by that every year. We do horrible week 1 and we end up over 50% at the end of the day there. On the over-under picks, right now I got 7 wins. Rob has 6. We both picked the Vikings to win, cover the spread, and go over in the game. As of right now, it's 17-12 for the Bears with 14 minutes left. So it looks like we're going to kind of goose egg on that game there. We each got 2 trifectas. So right now I got a 4-point lead on Rob this week, and that's going to stay no matter what there. So I will win this week on our picks games that we always do every single week. So like I said, next week is when you start seeing a little better idea of who to start betting on, and you'll see some of the numbers start going up there. And hopefully you'll see the numbers going up for the Giants there as well. And we stop embarrassing, ourselves here. But listen, it's been a lot of rough times for Giants fans. We're kind of used to this point there. So, all right, we'll be back again Wednesday with you guys here, doing our preview of the Cowboys game, and we'll try to be somewhat positive. That's going to be difficult after what happened yesterday, but we'll try. And like I said, we'll go ahead and give you the rundown of everything going on with the Cowboys in this past offseason, what we think the Giants need to do to win, which obviously number 1 is put up some damn points. And then Thursday, we'll be back with our picks episode as well here for week 2. And then Sunday, game day again, we'll be back on for live play-by-play and also the post-game coverage as well. So, all right, guys, that's going to call it a night for us there. Appreciate you guys for watching as always. Again, thank you very much for both Ronnie and to Anthony there for the super chats there. Appreciate you guys supporting the show there as Robin pop back in yet again.
Sorry, guys.
So much your nickname is Mary Poppins now.
Spoonful of sugar.
Oh, I can't sing without super chats or super chat. Oh my God.
I mean, a spoonful of sugar.
Yes. For $100, Rob will do a karaoke version of the Village People's Macho Man. He'll also dress up as the police officer.
The fireman.
Is there a fireman in the Village People? There is. I don't know. I just can't picture that one in my head. Maybe someone knows. Put in the comments. All right, guys. We'll be back again Wednesday. Appreciate you guys for watching. As always, we are live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, along with game day, live action, play-by-play coverage, and post-game coverage as well. We are live on YouTube, the preferred platform, along with, of course, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, and, of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. You missed your chance. You had your chance. I paused. And, of course, as always, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms as well. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there, guys. If you haven't already, do me a favor. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button there. Tell a friend about the show because point blank, we suck at marketing. Without y'all helping, we'd be pretty much nowhere. So appreciate all you guys supporting us there all these years. We'll be back again, like I said, Wednesday. We'll see you guys then. And until then, drink up and try to ignore the sorrows of being a Giants fan. But we're going to still do our usual end, even though it's more and more difficult each week, each year. But as always, Giant fans, go G-Men! Go G-Men! Drops on mute again. Go G-Men!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.